What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Bulls Report. I am your host for today's show, Patrick Seatman. And on today's show, we're going to be going over a blockbuster NBA trade idea, which has the Chicago Bulls trading up for the number 3 overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft. This did come from NBA Analysis Network. They were the ones that linked the Chicago Bulls to be the team that potentially trades up and go and lands that number 3 overall pick. I got a ton of thoughts on this and more, but guys, we're closing in on 2,000 subscribers here on the channel. Honestly, shout out to all you guys that have hit the subscribe button as of lately. We're climbing, we're growing here at the Bulls Report, so join the family and join the fun. We'll keep you posted with all Bulls news and rumors or whatever it may be during the NBA offseason. I do expect the Bulls to make a ton of moves, so go down there, hit that subscribe button, just a free way to help us out. Right down there, hit that button. So let's talk about the trade idea that came out from NBA Analysis Network, and they linked the Chicago Bulls to the Portland Trail Blazers in an absolute blockbuster trade. I'm going to be breaking this down on both sides. We'll start with the Trailblazer side of things, and I'll kind of connect it back to the Chicago Bulls. But this was the trade. Anfernee Simons to the Bulls with Jusuf Nurkic, and then 2023 first-round pick, which is the number 3 overall pick. But then the Bulls, they give up a haul. They give up DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Patrick Williams. This would be a blockbuster trade for the Chicago Bulls. Well, let's start with Anfernee Simons. I'll kind of go piece by piece with this trade. For a lot of people who don't know, Anfernee Simons is one of the better guards in the NBA, especially in terms of just scoring the basketball. He is a pure flamethrower out there, averaging 21 points a game on 62 games played this year, 4.1 assists, 2.6 rebounds, on pretty solid shooting splits as well, 45% from the field and 38% from 3. I'm a huge fan of Simons. I'm just a huge fan of his game overall. He is the definition of a 3-level scorer. He kind of has some Jordan Poole-esque to his game where he can pull up from 35 but also get to the rim. He's really good at that snake dribble coming off a pick and roll, and we've really seen his game kind of take that next step this year. So obviously the Bulls will be giving up their young star in Patrick Williams, but then you also do kind of get a young star and a true scorer in the NBA. And will Anfernee Simons ever be, I don't know, a 2 or 3 on a championship team? Probably not. But I do think maybe he could end up being a 3 down the road where he is kind of that kind of tertiary player where he is, you throw him the ball and he could just be a flamethrower, a spark plug, whatever it may be. I've always been a huge fan of Anfernee Simons, especially seeing him kind of take that step this past season. I would love for the Bulls to get him in a trade. Let's talk about the other player they would be getting is Jusuf Nurkic from the Portland Trail Blazers, the center that the Bulls actually drafted I believe 5 drafts ago now, and they traded him for good old Doug McDermott. But yeah, 13.3 points per game, 2.9 assists per game, 9.1 rebounds, and then 51.9% from the field. Not the best rim protector, just under a block per game. But my overall take with Nurkic, he's just a solid center in the NBA. Like, he is just a definition of, he's not going to be great for you, but he's not going to be bad. He kind of falls in between. I just feel like he's a really just overall solid center that the Bulls could potentially get in this blockbuster trade. But again, with this trade, it's a lot more of what the Bulls would be giving up. You're giving up LaVine, DeRozan, and Patrick Williams. It would be an absolute haul for the Chicago Bulls. But again, you do get 2 players in Nurkic and Simons, who I am a fan of. But then it's that number 3 overall pick, which I'll be getting into here in a second. But I will ask you guys, what do you guys think about this trade? Just give me A for accept or give me a D for decline down in the comments section. I'm pretty in between on this trade, but I'm curious what you guys got to say. I'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. Give me an A for accept or give me a D for decline. But in terms of the Bulls getting the number 3 overall pick, we can look at some prospects that I believe the Bulls could take at that number 3 overall spot. Victor Wembanyama, he's going number 1. Don't really need to spend too much time on that. But then it's that 2 and 3 spot where it's Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson. And the Charlotte Hornets have the 2nd pick in the NBA draft. And with them already having LaMelo Ball on their roster, most people are assuming they are going to take Brandon Miller. But I believe it's going to come down to Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson. And these two, they're fantastic players. I mean, they are truly kind of franchise-altering players, where if you would get one of them, your franchise is going in a different direction. But 16.5 points per game for Scoot. He was playing in the G League this past season. 5.1 rebounds per game. And Scoot is just an athletic freak. He gives very reminiscent vibes of a prime Russell Westbrook or a prime Derrick Rose. And then on the Brandon Miller side of things, he was an absolute weapon this past season at Alabama, just under 19 points a game. And he was kind of his mold is more of a Danny Green, Paul George. But overall, both these players, like I said, are franchise guys. Like if you draft these guys, you are almost hoping that they could be a number one on a championship team, bare minimum a number two. And that's what I think they both could be. Like, I really do think Brandon Miller, if he develops into that kind of 6'8", 6'9" frame with his ability to put the ball on the deck, get to the rim, really score at all three levels, I really think he could develop into a Paul George. And if he picks it up defensively, he could even be like a Kawhi type of player, super smooth. I love Brandon Miller's game. And then Scoot's side of it, like he is Russell Westbrook, D Rose. He is that Ja Morant, that hyper-athletic point guard archetype that I love in the NBA. Both those guys would be fantastic for the Bulls to take at number 3. But I do think it is reset time for the Chicago Bulls. You know, if you take a look at this roster, kind of just overall, like the big 3 that we had, it just never really ended up working out. Like, I just feel like the Bulls lacked the leadership. They lacked in a kind of defensive intensity out of those 3. Like, the Bulls were a solid defensive team last year, but I really think it was, you can put a bunch of that appraisal on kind of the backcourt and the Patrick Beverleys and the Alex Carusos of the world. Let's focus in on Zach LaVine here, because that would be one of the big pieces the Bulls would be trading away. You know, Zach LaVine, like, I mean, I've always said it with him, man. He is a tremendous player, and if you saw him playing at the park, you would think this dude is a top 5 player in the NBA. I mean, hyper athletic, you know, can really get it done any which way. And then look at those shooting splits. I mean, it's really not bad. 49% from the field, just under 38% from 3. That's fantastic. But it's the LaVine debate, and this is what Bulls fans, we have been constantly saying. LaVine is a great talent. He can score at all 3 levels. Like, it truly, like, I know we kind of toss that phrase out there a lot, like us hoop heads, is like, oh, he can score at all 3 levels. No, LaVine actually can. Like, he can get to the mid-range. He can get to the rim. He can pull up coming off that pick and roll and shoot the 3. But what about winning with him? Like, is he a leader? Is he going to get the most out of his teammates? Is he going to battle his guys at practice? That's kind of where the LaVine debate kind of falls. That's why I would be okay with moving on from him. Then the DeMar DeRozan side of everything. I mean, DeMar this past season, he is still one of the better players in the NBA. Like, he was still one of the more efficient guys, too, at that guard spot. Still making an all-star game this past year, just under 25 points a game. 5 rebounds, 5 assists for DeMar. Like, I really do believe DeMar, he's still one of the better players in the league. It's just, what has he really done for winning? And I will say this. The Bulls' big 3 experiment of LaVine, DeMar, and Vooch, it just needs to end. Like, this little kind of, I mean, it worked out when Lonzo was healthy that one year in the East, when the Bulls found themselves at the top of the Eastern Conference, but it just hasn't worked out. That's why I do think it needs to kind of just move on and reset this roster. Then also in this trade, you would be giving up Patrick Williams as well. I'm still a huge believer in Patrick Williams. He did shoot 42% from 3 this past season, averaging 10 points a game. And I think with a guy like Patrick Williams, I think he's got the talent. It's just going to come down to touches and if he will be able to develop. And I think if you keep guys like LaVine, DeRozan, Vooch, all these guys, you're just taking shots away from guys that you want to see develop. Like, you spent a 4th overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft on this guy. Why not let him kind of develop and to see what he can be? Because we all called him. We called him Baby Kawhi. We called him Baby Paul George for a little bit. Let's go see what we have. And I love Patrick Williams. Little one dribble, rip through, get to his mid-range, rise up. Like, he's got great NBA moves. He's got great NBA playoff moves as well. He can guard 1 through 5, like legitimately 1 through 5. I don't know. I just think the big 3, though, the LaVine, the DeRozan, the Vooch, we got to move on from that, get younger, get more athletic on this roster, and let those young guys kind of build. So, obviously, this would be a lot to give up for the number 3 overall pick, but this would be a complete reset for the Chicago Bulls. I don't know. I would maybe do it, but I would hate giving up Patrick Williams as well. Anyways, if you guys made it to the end of the video, you guys know what we do here. Give me a C-Red down in the comments section so I can know who all the real ones are. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel, supporting the show as of recently. If you guys haven't already, make sure you are subscribed. See you guys next time. Go Bulls.